Well, remember this during the hearings looking for communists in America.
Let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
Well, now the IRS is doing something to a conservative group in Hollywood that has some here asking, does the tax man have no sense of decency? IRS now becoming the enforcement arm of a new Hollywood blacklist.
Yeah, I think it's part of a larger trend where it's become acceptable, sort of even encouraged to attack conservatives, anyone who questions government overreach, right? We saw this with the war on women. We see this with the IRS targeting. We've seen this recently with Dinesh D'Souza was just under attack. I think that it's so, unfortunate because we are a big country of different values and perspectives. And the idea that the government would be in there pitting Americans against one another through the IRS is something really horrible.
And Rick, this is targeting by the IRS, and that is unacceptable.
Well, you don't know that it's targeting because they're a new organization filing for the first time for their 501c3. They're supposed to be investigated.
Rick, we saw the IRS Inspector General go through all this, and he said there was targeting. 100% of the Tea Party groups were targeted.
We're talking about this one group, which I want to keep talking about.
How many liberal groups have been targeted by the IRS in Hollywood?
Actually, about 25%.
In Hollywood?
Oh, in Hollywood? Very few liberal groups in Hollywood are 501c3s, which is what I want to get to. If you look at this, the biggest liberal groups in Hollywood are nonprofits that have never asked for the tax break. This group did. And by the way, this whole thing about Hollywood having this great prejudice against conservatives, look at the list. Kelsey Grammer is working constantly. John Voight just won the Golden Globe.
All right, but hold on a second. Steve Forbes, the fact is that what the IRS wanted was the list of names of contributors. A lot of people I know in Hollywood who are conservatives, not a lot, but a few, who don't want their names out there, who do think they'd be blacklisted if their names were out there.
Yeah, and we saw it in the McCarthy era that even if you brought people to the theater, they went after you and you got blackballed. And so what we see here is it's a chilling effect, David. If you know you're going to get in the crosshairs, a lot of people are going to say, not going to take the risk.
John Tamny, Joe McCarthy wanted names. We want names. And isn't that the same thing that's happening now?
I think so, and I would just point out I'd be just as mad if the IRS were targeting liberal groups. And to think that we can reform this or fix this is the triumph of hope over experience. The IRS is a politicized institution, and the only fix is to abolish it in favor of consumption tax.
Okay, but EMAC, the fact is, this is what the Inspector General Russell George said. Our audit did not find any evidence that the IRS used the progressives identifier as selection criteria, but 100% of the time, they targeted Tea Party patriots in 9/12.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So there is targeting. That's why we need a special prosecutor. Listen, if Janet Reno could appoint a special prosecutor to look into Whitewater, or a special prosecutor could be named to, investigate Carter's chief of staff for alleged drug use, this is calling into the question the entire credibility of the U.S. tax system. That's dangerous.
Quick.
Yeah,
special prosecutor?
We need a special prosecutor because this government's not going to investigate itself, especially the IRS.
Coming up, why the